Nothing should break because we're awesome, I think. Where's my window? There it is.
The episode Wolf and I banked for a soon coming up episode. I streamed at 5100 kilobit.
That's when, you know what? Hey, why not? when there's no risk of it going down. 50K,
YouTube will
that's
take
crazy.
it, right? Yeah.
When HD is not enough, let's see through time with our bit rate. That's crazy. I think I do 12 now. I haven't dared go higher. I could go higher, I think, but I stop at 12.
Yeah, I mean 1200 is plenty. Sorry, 12,000 is plenty.
Okay. All right, give me one sec. All right. What's next? Why, Steam Next Fest, of course. Free demos today on.
Don't silence over the intro.
So focused on the intro.
What are we supposed to do over the intro?
Sorry, we'll fix in post. Welcome everybody to another episode of Press Me to Cancel, your favorite gaming-related podcast. This week, we're looking at some of the demos that have got released this week. I guess Summer Games Fest has come and gone. It was always a good time. It's kind of what replaced E3 for me. And at the end of Summer Games Fest, some demos got announced, and then we have Valve releasing their semi-annual Steam Next Fest, which is another kind of event they do for about a week where they have hundreds of demos for freely available on Steam to try out and check out. And it's all for games that are up and coming this year and next year. I love it. I love doing Steam Next Fest. I know in the past I mentioned, hey, we should do an episode on those because they're free and there's a lot of cool stuff. And it's kind of neat to kind of dip into a grab bag of hundreds of games, and some are great, some are not so great, and just, talk about the ones that we like, or the ones that are games we can look forward to. It's already been, and I've said this before, 2025 has been a great year for gaming so far, but there's still 6 months to go, and there's still lots of great stuff coming out. So we all went through and did some homework, some more than others. So we're going to start with Wolf in a second, going through some of our picks for the week. And if you're watching us live on YouTube, youtube.com/@PressMeToCancel, the Steam Next Fest is going all weekend. It ends on Monday. But if you're listening to the audio episode, know that many of the demos will still be around even after Monday. At the very least, though, the ones we talk about, wishlist them on Steam. It helps out the developers in terms of their algorithm and their analytics, but it's also games to look forward to when they do come out. Many of these games are coming out very, very soon, and there's some really good ones coming out. So again, I'm not doing this by myself. I'm joined by two good friends. Sister, how you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. It's I have a 3-day weekend this week. Taking it off to play No Man's Sky on Monday.
It's my second favorite holiday is the No Man's Sky Day. Wolf, how you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty well. I got a lot of demos in this week. Some better than others. Some made me just want to play other games, and I will talk about that. And I got my Mr. Pie, so I am very jazzed to finally.
Have you played it yet?
Properly. No, I'm doing the setup. I have a 512 gigabyte SD card that I am preparing.
Wait, you're doing the setup. When did you get it?
I got it Monday. Is it Monday? Yes, it was Monday.
It was Monday.
I didn't actually start setup until Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then the last couple days have been converting files. So
that's a good time, let me tell you. Exciting. Converting ROM files all day.
Ooh.
Hey, you know what? It goes really well hand in hand with cleaning the records. So it's fine.
Me and Sister have been telling you for how long that the Mr.'s fantastic, and you've held out, and you finally get a Mr. Pie, and you have it for a week, and you haven't played a goddamn game on it. When I first got my Mr., mine was disassembled, and I only got the base DE10 Nano to start with for a month, and I had that bare circuit board on my desk, plugged in within 10 minutes. I was playing Genesis games. I couldn't wait to play games in that thing. I don't know how you're not playing
it's
games right now.
it's a very different take because I
Yeah.
actually streamed the assembly and the like SD card creation and the whole thing. I streamed it and then was like, now I'm gonna play Punch Out for like an hour.
Well, when you do actually play games on it, I think Sinister, you're right. We need to do another episode on the Mister. The Mister Pi is fairly recent and is a great way to get into that system, and I love talking about that thing. So that will easily be a good episode in the future. But this week we're talking about other games, not retro. We're looking toward the future and some demos. Wolf, we're gonna start with you because you have more than us. So what's your first demo pick?
All right, well, let's kick it off with something weird. I saw this in the list of demos while I was just trolling through Steam Next Fest, and just the bright colors and the name were like, okay, what is this? And I read a little bit about it, and I was like, all right, this sounds up my alley. The game is, well, it sounded something interesting, I should say. It's called AbstractPunk. It is a first-person shooter that does not look anything like a modern first-person shooter.
Oh yeah,
you could say it's abstract.
So I want to call out because you say it's a first-person shooter. It's barely a first-person shooter.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, no, you do shoot. Okay, that's fair. You do shoot.
It's first person.
But you fling happiness at people.
Yeah,
literally the word happiness. That's what you're shooting.
And your character says it as you're doing it. So you either got happiness, happiness, depending on which character you're using.
Now, I want to point out the music in this is fantastic.
Oh, it's great.
The music is stellar. There's a part where you get a message about taking a message to the Ice Queen. And I'm not kidding. That song that plays after you get that message is like Bauhaus, Peter Murphy, like that, like 80s post-punk, like goth almost, like, and I'm just over here. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, this is perfect.
Dude, honestly, okay, so I gotta preface this with it's not great, right? The game itself.
No.
And that's an understatement, I think. It's not great.
It might even be bad.
It has aspects that are like, this is really cool. Like the visuals are really interesting, even if they're not the best visuals, right?
You got to explain the visuals because that's one of the most unique things about this game.
Yeah, so all the enemies are basically black and white with pink, I want to say, maybe occasionally some blue. But not a whole lot of blue because blue more represents your character and where you can save and things like that. And your upgrades, ice as they call it, which I don't understand that. Apparently, I was looking into it. So that first boss, your first little mission you get, the Ice Queen. I guess that's a reference to their previous game as well.
Okay.
They have another game that came before this, also kind of bizarre looking, called Sad RPG.
Oh, so Final Fantasy IV.
Subtitled Social Anxiety Role Playing Game.
Okay.
Wow.
But yeah, the visuals, like, sometimes you can't tell where a doorway is in the wall. Yeah. Because it's literally just like a printed doorway with a little tiny, because they do the forced perspective thing, little tiny hole in it that you can kind of peek through and see the other side. So
yeah.
It's very strange and it's different.
Yeah.
And I simultaneously like it and dislike it.
Yeah. I'm with you. I while I was playing it, I was like, okay, I'm digging the music and flinging happiness at enemies is kind of entertaining. And like, I don't know, the visuals were frenetic to say the least. And I was enjoying it, but I also tired of it very quickly.
Yeah, it's kind of an assault on your senses to a degree.
Yeah. Huge.
Like I cannot agree more about the music. The music is absolutely bonkers rad.
Yeah.
but it's kind of like a 3-note game, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's okay. I mean, depending on the pricing, I don't mind if it's a short experience or a short little thing, as long as it's fun to play, even if it is a short-lived game. I am curious how long it is. I don't think I could handle that amount of visual diarrhea noise for more than an hour or two. But if it's $5-10, then I'm kind of here for it for the soundtrack alone.
Yeah, and the soundtrack is like it's badass, but wow, is it on the nose?
Yeah.
It literally is telling you like the message you get when you level up, the words that are on the screen, the song sings, right?
Well, the message for the Ice Queen, it's like, you've got a message for the Ice Queen. I'm like, okay, I get it.
It was weird, but I also didn't hate it. I thought it was kind of a neat presentation.
For sure.
But yeah, like apparently there's other faces that will be available in the main game once it comes out. So in the demo, you only have happiness. So I guess those other faces will be treated as different weapons. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but when you swap between the girl and the guy face of happiness, it changes how much, like it changes the rate of fire and the power output of happiness.
I did not notice that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know you could switch
woman
characters.
shoots faster, but not as hard.
Huh.
And then the man has like a much longer delay, but they hit like 3 times harder.
Does the voice change when you change characters?
Yes.
Yes.
It does? Okay. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
It's got a sense of humor to it that I appreciate. Like you're entering a level and says you're entering the office of was it the office of regression? Like just the weird sense of humor to it, which is neat.
There's the office of regression, the office of offices.
Sounds like where I work.
I think it's the totalitarian regime was one of the sections in the office.
Yeah.
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 You know what? Like I like weird games, and I think I can appreciate for what it is, but it really will come down to like price and how long it is. But I kind of like it, even if it's bad. It's a good bad game, if that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, there's something there to it that I don't hate it. I just don't know how much I'll be able to handle it in the long run.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's how much Sad RPG is.
It's
Sad RPG is $8.
Okay.
So if this is similar to that seems more than fair to me.
I might actually pick it up. Okay, so you said you played it with a controller, right?
I did as well. I played it on my deck.
Okay, I played it with a mouse and keyboard. It felt like a first-person shooter. Like it didn't really feel wrong or different or anything in terms of controls. It was just it was limited because you've only got the one weapon and it's 2 variants that are very similar.
Yeah.
And then the level ups are all just like you have a higher health pool, which that's what that number that increased as you got up. It was your health pool, but it didn't make that super clear.
Okay.
And I don't remember what the term they used for it was now, but it was not health by any means.
A lot of this game is not clear. I think that's probably the design of it. Have you guys ever played? I've heard of Jeff Minter. Do you guys know who he is?
No.
Isn't he the guy that does the retrospective game collections you like?
He was the focus of one of them, yeah. So he created Llamasoft, and he's known in the UK as making a lot of really beloved but really bizarre games for various systems. He actually did was it Tempest 2000 for the Jaguar? That's probably the best known game of his. Probably the best game he's made. A lot of his games are very janky, but like he did Attack of the Mutant Camels, which is this feels like a call out to his type of humor and his type of game. I bet you he would love AbstractPunk. So if you kind of dig this style, you should check out Jeff Minter's stuff. I'm not saying his games are good, but they're definitely weird like this and have similar soundtracks. So, but yeah, this is a neat one.
Yeah.
So that's AbstractPunk. I don't know if they gave a release date for any of these demos, but I don't know how far along it is, but it's an interesting one.
Let me see if that one has a release date. I'll try and
if I'm remembering right,
I
think it might have said 2026, just 2026.
Okay.
Well, the planned release date just says TBA. So
okay.
All right. Soon.
It also, I want to point this out from the description of the game. It's the year 2004, and this is the future.
So it's like Flight of the Conchords, the year 2000, the distant future.
Yeah, it's a Conan bit.
I think this is one I'm gonna check out whenever it comes out, because like for this kind of style of humor and so off the wall and so bizarre, you can't help but reward that kind of business move.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So, at the very least, if you're high, it'll be an entertaining game anyway. So, all right. So that's AbstractPunk. That's a good one.
Yeah. Very interesting. I for sure enjoyed the 10 minutes I took with it.
Yeah, okay. It's definitely I highly, if you're catching this before the demo goes down, hopefully the demo just stays up. That would be nice. Please just do yourself a favor and check it out. It's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a modern take on that PlayStation game LSD Simulator or whatever it was back in the day.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it was
LSD?
a Japanese game. Let me see what it was called. Yeah, LSD Dream Emulator is what it was called.
Okay.
I think we need to do an episode on weird games. I think that should be an episode idea. Sounds like there's more than enough of them.
Penn and Teller's Desert Bus or whatever it is.
Whoa, wait, it's on Steam?
Is it like a remake?
Next game.
All right. Sounds like good ideas for other episodes. Sinistar, do you want to go next?
Sure. So
all right.
I picked two. And the first one is called Hobby Horse. So I'm gonna tell you this. This is the first time I've ever actually like really paid attention to Next Fest. Like there's a streamer that that Sinsters and I've watched for years, Princess Lazy. She tends to do Next Fest demos during Next Fest, and so that's kind of the extent of Next Fest. So the first thing I noticed is, boy, there are a lot of adult games in Next Fest.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, do I even think about doing this for the episode? And I was like, no. But then I saw a game that had the name Hobby Horse, and I was like, okay, I just have to try it for the name. So this game is bad. Just plain and simple, it's bad. It's bad from the start, and the concept is bad. I'm just gonna trash this game. Sorry, Hobby Horse developers. I'm just gonna trash this game.
It looks neat.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like looking at the trailer, I can't say I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. It doesn't really have mechanisms that make it anything specific to the Hobby Horse, other than you can earn upgrades to the cosmetics for the Hobby Horse. Otherwise, it functions just like every other racing game out there. Period.
Okay.
Like you even have a drift button. You drift your Hobby Horse.
But
what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
You're running around on foot, right? That's the idea?
Yes. So anyway, so first off, right off the bat, and I know that this is in development and these are easily fixable, but I'm taking it as the state of things for today. Right up front, it says, do you want to steer with your mouse? Like it pops up a display item that says, do you want to steer with your mouse? I'm like, sure, I'll steer with my mouse. Steering with the mouse is broken as shit. I was winging the mouse as hard as I could over and over and over one direction. It was like on the screen, and I'm just running into everything. So I go and switch it back to keyboard controls. So the arrow keys work great. They work fine. So like, don't turn on the pop-up until it's ready and working, right? So The other thing is the menu seems to run off the left side of the screen. So,
It's
yeah,
a demo,
whatever.
though. They're
I
demos. That's
understand. I
That's
understand.
not
And then
ideal, though.
yeah,
yeah,
and then
I get it.
there are typos, and when I say typos, it's in the same exact phrasing. It's like sticks do this. Get Sitix, Sitcks to do this thing. Like, just I don't know. I'm judging it based on how it is today. Honestly, the biggest thing for me is it didn't have anything that a racing simulator, any other racing simulator could give me. And I mean, I guess you jump your hobby horse over but there are games that have jumping in it that are racing games as well. Um, I don't know. And of course, drifting. You're running along the ground. and,
So, I
and
mean,
they want you to
I
drift.
didn't play it, but I was looking at the trailer, and like you are doing, was it dressage? Is that what it, or horse jumping? You're doing horse jumping
Yeah.
tricks on a hobby horse. Like, do you get
Yeah.
points for doing tricks or speed boosts or anything like that?
It depends. Or really what'll happen is you'll collide with it and it'll slow you down. Now, this is kind of fun. You hit things and it'll say things like bruh.
Okay.
So, like, there's a little bit of cleverness there. Like, bruh. Anyway, I don't know. And I mean, it has like there are points where like there are little like just like on every other racing simulator, there are things on the track, upgrades that you can pick up that'll make you jump higher or make you do whatever, speed ups, slow downs, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know. It felt very samey to everything else. And I was like, why?
Okay.
What's the benefit here other than I get to dress up my hobby horse?
There's a lot of cosmetics. Looking at the trailer, you can wear
Yeah.
everything from like rainbow unicorn to Geordi's visor from Star Trek. That's definitely a lot of variety. Is there other horses on the race, or is it just like a time trial?
No, well, all I played, it's just a time trial.
Okay, that kind of sucks. I hope they add more to it. It's like Goat Simulator, right? Where it's just the premise is stupid on purpose and it's meant to be silly.
Yeah.
But
and maybe that's
the gameplay needs to be good behind that kind of idea.
Yeah, and throwing up an option like on the startup that says, "Do you want to steer with your mouse?" and then that being broken. I mean, that
sucks. Yeah,
that's not a good start.
No, that's fair enough.
I want to point out that this company has 17 games released since 2020.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
So, legendary franchise hobby horse.
And it looks like they got a dozen or two in the works.
Oh dear. So what they're doing is they're going to AI and they're like, write me a game that makes it so that I run around on a hobby horse.
I wouldn't throw that out there. We don't know, and that's
I know.
Well,
I'm yeah.
But yeah,
their top seller is Animal Shelter Simulator.
Okay.
I will say though, like there are companies will do this to see if they get a good idea and if it gets traction, right? Even like Pal World, which I mean, I think a lot of us like Pal World. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
But that company made a few other games that they threw out there, and they dropped support pretty quickly when they didn't sell very well. So I mean, that's not a great way of doing business for a consumer. But there's studios that do that. They just got lucky with Pal World, right? So Hobby Horses Studios may be similar, or it might be a collective of people doing games for them.
Sure.
You never know, but
it might be.
Yeah, it looks okay. I mean, it looks neat, but you're right. If the gameplay behind it is not great and the controls aren't well done, especially the mouse controls, that's kind of disappointing. I kind of want to try the controller though, to see if that works.
Yeah, and I did it with well, I tried keyboard and mouse, and I eventually just did keyboard.
Right. Yeah.
So the developer is called Games Incubator. And if you go to their main website, the top line before it shows any of the games is, "We produce games and incubate your game ideas." So I think the collective thing might be right.
Yeah, and that I've seen that before too, and that makes sense. Okay. Well, it
Yeah.
it looks neat. So
Yeah.
but it's
If
bad. That's
you've
okay.
if you've ever wanted to dress up a hobby horse, this is your game.
That's that's probably a dream game for some kid out there.
Yep.
All right.
I mean, the concept is hilarious because it's
Yeah.
what, equestrian hobby
Yes,
horse.
it's
horses.
equestrian sort of with a hobby horse.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, if it's like Mario Kart where you do tricks and you get speed boost or something, that would be really
Right.
funny on a hobby horse racing game. But if it's one horse
Yeah.
and it's only time trial, I kind of like,
Yeah.
I want to see other people on their dumb horses running around track. But
Yeah.
you
Sure.
never know. Maybe that'll be the sequel.
Oh, if they put in a multiplayer aspect, like if you could
Yeah.
do, Mario Kart, but with I'd be all in. I would totally change my tune on that.
Yeah. right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let me go. I guess I'll go next. You know what? Let's go with a game that actually I think is going to be pretty good. So this game, I'm going to go with Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which I saw like a teaser trailer for.
I want it to be awful. It's one of my counter picks in Fantasy Critic.
Oh, is it really? Well, okay. I'll tell you what. I like what I played of Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. First off, it's made by the Game Kitchen, which I was not familiar with the name, but when I went to their page, I realized, oh, they're the guys who made Blasphemous 1 and 2. And Blasphemous 1 and 2 did get really decent reviews. I think 80s or high 70s. People tend to like those games. Those who don't know, it's really awesome, although gory, gross, awesome pixel art, and really tight, soul-inspired combat type of game. This, though, is Ninja Gaiden, and it's a very much a callback to the original NES Ninja Gaiden in terms of the speed and the way the combat works. Let me pull up the trailer real quick.
So I played Ninja Gaiden. I think there was one that came out on the Xbox, the original Xbox.
Okay.
It was that era, and it was kind of one of the early 3D Ninja Gaiden games.
Yeah.
And when I saw some of the trailer material for this, I was like, it feels like somewhat that as well.
Maybe some inspiration from that kind of thing, but it's definitely a 2D platformer, and a very fast-paced 2D platformer. And it's very much like, at first I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna say it plays like The Messenger, but for a minute there, it felt kind of like speed-oriented like The Messenger, in that you can really fly through the levels if you want to, and you're bouncing off of enemies. It has what they call the guillotine attack, where you spin jump off of enemies or projectiles to keep going. But where it changes things quite a bit is in the combat, almost everything dies in one hit, which is fine. You're a badass ninja. But occasionally you'll come across larger enemies that are stronger, and the only way to take them down is with a power hit. So to get a power hit, you either charge up and lose some life to do a power hit, or there's flashing enemies on the screen. Conveniently, they show up when there's a big enemy. You kill the flashing enemy, then it's a free power-up hit, and then you can take down the bigger enemy. And that's the kind of dynamic with the combat, right? Where you go into a room very frantically. Wow, that's a short trailer. Let's run that one more time. But you frantically go into a room, and it's fairly large sprites. There isn't a whole lot of room on the screen, but you come across a big enemy, look for the flashy one, kill it, get the power up, kill the bigger enemy, and kind of go through the stages that way. So it's not just, it's hack and slash, very fast paced, very fun combat, but you do have to manage the chaos and find those flashing enemies that give you the power to take down the bigger ones or to break obstacles and whatnot. There are parts where it slows down. You do have some sub-weapons. It wouldn't be Ninja Gaiden if it didn't. You have kunai attacks, throwing daggers that you can hit buttons with. There's also a flying axe power-up that arcs, kind of like the axe in Castlevania, actually. There's like 3 or 4 stages in the demo, if I recall, and you get introduced to a secondary character that kind of possesses you. And there are bits where you can, it's like a demon console where you plug into a demon socket. Very gross. And then when you do that, the ghost ninja comes out, and you have a limited time to play as her. And she has a slightly different moveset to kind of speed through a section of the level to unlock a door. It's a neat break from the rest of the game. This game is pretty rad. I mean, I'm not going to say it's amazing. It's not, for the sake of your fantasy critic, this is not going to be a 90+ game. This is no Silk Song. Or at least I hope it won't be as high as a Silk Song.
Well, but, nothing's Silk Song, because
I think when it exists, it's coming. It's coming. They would not lie to me for 2 years in a row. But it's also a demo, and I recognize it's a demo. But some of the combat felt a little bit janky. Some of the hitboxes felt a little bit unfair, and the sprites, while awesome looking, are very large. In some ways, it kind of reminds me of Shinobi, where Shinobi had very large sprites, and sometimes in that game, it was hard to avoid enemies, and I feel like that's a problem in this one. But that's something that can be tuned, and knowing that they are the guys who made Blasphemous 1 and 2 and how well those did, I think I have some high hopes for this one. I think this is one I'm going to check out. But my one worry with this is Sega has a game coming out in August called Shinobi. It doesn't matter what, but it's a 2D Shinobi game they're coming out with in August, and this comes out in July, end of July. So I'm kind of worried with 2D retro throwback ninja games in a couple weeks span. People are going to get confused between the two titles. There's already a few podcasts I listened to that are talking about this game and accidentally called it Shinobi. So that's going to be probably frustrating for the developers. So I really dig this one. The soundtrack's really good. I mean, the opening cinematic is a callback to the NES game with the two ninjas, the blue and orange, running at each other. It's definitely a game that knows its origin and are kind of like Easter eggs toward it. So I know I think I talked to you guys about this one. Did you guys play this at all or no?
I did not.
No, I didn't get to.
Okay. I think, by the way, I think that the intro was kind of why I was like, oh, it might be like the Xbox game. But you're right. It's 100% 2D.
Yeah, the one character in the intro that has the fancy helmet, he's the version of the character that is in the 3D Ninja Gaiden games, from what I understand. I don't know enough Ninja Gaiden lore, so I might get that wrong. But the guy in blue you're playing is a younger version of another character, I think.
Okay. That Xbox game was hard, by the way.
The whole franchise is, right? Like I've never been good at Ninja Gaiden games. Even the NES game, I've not beaten the NES game. It's on my list of potential Sisyphean games if I hate myself next year. So you can't uninstall a Nintendo game. So I kind of have to.
When Battletoads isn't enough.
I played so much Battletoads. I tried. Anyway, so that's Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. It's from Game Kitchen. I think that one is. I've heard some positive press about it. I've liked it. I think that's one people should have on their radar. I think that's one that people should wish list and keep an eye on, especially if you're a fan of their other work, Blasphemous 1 and 2. I think that's a good one. All right.
I think I have Blasphemous. I think I played a little bit of that.
Yeah, I think I got it on something free, like Twitch TV or something, or one of those services. It's one of those games where I always went to go and play it, but I'm just... The Street Fighter 6 won't beat itself. So it's on the back burner.
Yeah.
Both of them. And I haven't played either one. I want to. I love me a Metroidvania. I just keep not playing the games that I get. Because I'm like, oh yeah, more roguelites, please.
Including the Mr. Pie.
So that's the thing too, is you just mentioned roguelikes. That's the thing I noticed with Next Fest, is when I was scrolling through the list of and there are hundreds of demos. You're not wrong, Sinstar. There is a whole lot of horny games there. But the other thing was, there's a whole lot of deck builders and roguelikes, including horny roguelike deck builders, just because. It's like they looked at what was popular 3 years ago and started working on a game, and now we're starting to see a wave of those games. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'm not knocking it. I mean, I like horny deck building roguelikes. It's fine. It's just there's more than I expected. There's also a lot of visual novels and looks like RPG Maker stuff, but it's, those games can be good. You never know. That's why I like it, because you go through and you try a bunch of demos and you find stuff that's actually really fun to play, like Ninja Gaiden or some other picks.
My next pick is a good pick. Trust me.
Good. All right. Well, let's go to Wolf though, because he has more than us. So Wolf, how about you give your next game?
Okay, my next game, again, kind of outside my usual wheelhouse, but it looked really rad when I saw the trailer, and I was like, okay, this is one that I think I'm gonna want to talk about, so I had to try it. And it did seem like it needs a little polish, but it does also seem like something promising. It's called Lurks Within Walls. This is an old school first person dungeon crawler horror game.
Nice.
Okay.
So the demo has you playing as a patient who wakes up in this hospital, and all hell is already broken loose. And as you're exploring, you've got the wrong game up. as you're exploring, ruining the surprise.
God, you didn't see anything, chat. You didn't see anything.
It's okay.
Chat.
This is an audio podcast. Don't worry about it.
As you're exploring, you're finding new items. So you come across a scalpel, you come across a crowbar, a gun, and it takes a while. They're sort of like giving you some inventory management first. And it's not even management. It's just you're finding items as you're exploring and figuring out like what the hell this game is in the first place. And you come across an elevator, the elevator doesn't work. So you're like, okay, you keep looking around. Eventually you find the breaker box that lets you turn the elevator back on. After that happens is when things really start showing up. Now you're starting to see combat. And it's very much like that old school dungeon crawler RPG. You pick which weapon you want to use, and it tells you about how much its damage range. And then it also like gives you an option. Where do you want to try and hit? This is the percentage of trying to hit with this weapon on this body part. So like if you try to hit the head, less likely to hit every time it's a critical.
So it's the turn-based. It's turn-based VATS.
Kind of, yeah. If you go for the body, it's a higher percentage chance to hit, but very rare to crit.
Right.
If you go for the arms, it weakens their attacks until the end of your next turn or their next turn or something like that. And then if you go for their legs, it reduces their ability to move. So things like that, right? You can also sort of like brace yourself to dodge more often and hit more, be more likely to hit for the next 2 turns, things like that. So it's different.
The trailer looks awesome.
It does. That's immediate. I saw the trailer for this and I was like, I gotta try this one. So I want to point out like AbstractPunk I just kind of came across on Next Fest, but this one I got from the Latin American Games showcase from
Summer Games Fest.
Whatever Jeff Keighley's, Summer Games Fest. So, and I saw it had a demo in the corner. I was like, okay, I gotta try that one.
Yeah, that looks fantastic. I'm gonna go wishlist that. I'm gonna go wishlist that one.
I do hope that there's some graphical options when it finally releases, because it was really hard to see some stuff. Not that it really messed with the gameplay any, but it was just hard to see. Like I had to turn all the lights off in here just so I could see.
Maybe that's what they want you to do.
Maybe.
Play this in the dark. We're gonna make you play this in the dark.
What was that first-person RPG recently? Was it Legends of Grimrock or Legend of Grimrock?
Yeah, Legend of Grimrock.
Yeah, like this, but it's definitely the horror theme, and this is probably the first time I've seen that.
It got me to jump in my chair at one point.
Oh, that's good. That's interesting.
Yeah,
it's a very unique
it's
twist in the genre for sure.
Yeah, and it's low stakes gameplay, right? It's a dungeon crawler, so it's turn-based.
Yeah,
you move, they move. You move,
and
they
you still
move.
jump.
It's that simple. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. That's an interesting one.
That's cool. I mean, I noticed very specifically that all the motion is on a grid, and that called to me right off the bat. I was like, because I mean, once again, I have to bring it up, Bard's Tale.
Yeah. No. Like I saw this and I was like, okay, this seems right up Chard and Sinistar's alley.
Yeah, it's the horror side of it, and the grid and turn-based like Sinistar. It's like the Venn diagram of those two favorite games.
And so I was like, all right, I gotta try this one. And apparently, like you end up, because after you beat that part, you end up being dropped into a parking garage to enter the building as some sort of officer, and then that's kind of where the demo ends. So it seems like you're playing as, a law enforcement officer or something trying to respond to this crisis. And
you almost get a little prequel play, and then you end up as the main character or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I do like games that do that as well, where you're like, especially where you're like, it trains you on the mechanics and gives you some story, and then it kind of pops you into where you're actually supposed to be.
Yeah.
I do like that. So yeah,
Cool. So
that's very
that's
cool.
Lurks Within Walls, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw
when
the
Yeah.
image of like the character in the doorway, like just this thumbnail, and I was like, "Oh, that looks good."
Yeah. And like I was saying, horror games for sure as a genre, the turn-based first-person grid-like RPGs, the old school dungeon crawls, absolutely a genre that's been done recently. But to put those two genres together, that's pretty interesting and pretty unique. So I think that's a pretty rad one. Definitely one to
Yeah,
keep
and
an
I
eye out
mean,
for.
I've always kind of considered Darkest Dungeon a horror RPG as well, but
Sure.
very different, very different. It's not about the jump scares. It's not
Yeah.
about that aspect. It's more about the sanity piece in the game as a mechanism, where this looks like it's like, hey, we wanted to make Resident Evil, but we wanted to be turn-based, grid-based, combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks really neat. This seems to be this developer's first game. They're called Here Be Monsters.
Mm,
Um, and it just says coming soon.
okay.
Coming soon.
But
Okay.
definitely one to look for.
Okay. I guess I'll do mine next. I'm just looking at the dates and when it first came out. Okay. So one of my favorite, I guess, games of the last number of years is Shovel Knight. I really dig the 16-bit or kind of 8-bit pixel art and palette choices they made for Shovel Knight. I love the platforming gameplay. It's very tightly well done. They added a ton of DLC expansions to Shovel Knight, so there's a lot of great stuff in Shovel Knight. It's one of my favorite games. So I've been waiting for years to see what Yacht Club Games' follow-up game would look like or be. They've published other people's games over the last few years, and they've also had other companies take Shovel Knight to do their own spin-on games, like Shovel Knight Dig, for example. But they haven't released their own game made by them since Shovel Knight. So the one that they kickstarted, and I had to look it up, was 2022, and it's Mina the Hollower. And I'll show the trailer in a minute. It's very short. And the idea with this one is it's keeping the idea of retro throwback graphics. It's Game Boy Color inspired palette, which is a choice. Some people love and some people hate it. But it was when I first saw it, and what was drawing me to it was top down Link's Awakening style dungeons. So Link's Awakening style game, but with Castlevania elements. And that to me sounded really super interesting. So I've been watching Mina the Hollower for a while. They've been very radio silent. I mean, I picked on a Fantasy Critic last year, and they screwed me because they didn't announce any release date. And I think Chart scooped it up this year, which I guess good on him because it is coming out this year. They confirmed it coming out on Halloween, which is very fitting for what the game looks like. I'm going to pull it up here for those watching the YouTube. So it is a top-down Link's Awakening adjacent type game. The sprite works are very well done. The color palette is definitely Game Boy Color inspired, and as much as I appreciate the sprite work in this, the sprites do look really great. There's so much happening on the screen in terms of flashing and effects and sprites and monsters. It's almost too busy for this color palette. So I as much as I dig what the vibe they're going for, I really kind of wish they went with a 16-bit style palette, or maybe just increase the graphic fidelity, because the Game Boy Color, it's almost too distracting, right? Like it's just I wish they went with the Shovel Knight aesthetic a bit more, but it does look really good. It's a super short trailer, but the demo's available. Everybody should play it. If you have any fondness for Link's Awakening or even Castlevania, it's worth checking out. It starts you off with on the ship that's basically going to be a shipwreck. You're given the choice between multiple weapons. If I remember right, it's double daggers, and then there's some other melee weapon, and then a whip
mace?
type of weapon, a mace, or
whip
a whip
kind
weapon.
of thing, and a hammer.
Yeah, and they both feel very different in terms of their moveset.
This one.
And this is fun. It's really fun. I really dig the vibe for it. There's definitely different perspectives. Much like Link's Awakening has sections where you go 2D, this has some elements of that as well. And while the game, the screen by screen, it feels like Link's Awakening. There are more the focus on the bosses. The bosses kind of more of a callback to, I hate saying Dark Souls, but that's what everybody gets compared to these days. But they're definitely screen filling bosses that are much harder than the enemies on the screen. and that's kind of interesting. I don't know if I like that part yet. I died several times playing the demo. So again, demo, I'm sure they'll tweak the difficulty as they go before release, but it is releasing very soon. But I think one of the criticisms folks are going to have is that the game is maybe too hard. But otherwise, it's very neat. You go screen to screen collecting power-ups or like currencies and whatnot as you play. There's sub-weapons. The moveset is pretty varied. You can kind of burrow underground for a span to kind of dodge enemies. And if you come up from underground underneath the boulder, you pick up a rock. You can toss the rock at enemies to do an instant kill. Some parts you're kind of forced to do that. You explore the stages. There's ropes you can knock down to make shortcuts. I don't know how much backtracking there's going to be in this. I don't know if it's a full-on like Link's Awakening, getting items and going back and forth between dungeons, or if it's just more of a linear progression. I don't know. I didn't get that far into the demo, but what I played was fun, and if you dig the Game Boy Color like I do, then the graphics and the music will feel right at home for you. But if you don't have that nostalgia, I don't know how much appeal this game will have for folks.
Watching the trailer, I really liked the color palette watching the trailer. I thought the visuals actually looked really good. I also was, I also was kind of like, Final Fantasy 1 as well, like kind of that look, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, so I played the demo for this today.
Okay, good.
I had a different experience. I thought the game was just fine. I actually wish it was a little faster, personally.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So, like that demo length of gameplay, I'm hoping the game speeds up from that a bit, because that felt a little slow for my liking.
Okay.
I died one time, and it was on that big boss before you get to the manor. But then the next boss you fight, I got him first try.
Okay.
So, I only died once the whole time. I actually did some backtracking at a point to try. Once I realized you could dig into those sort of cracks in the ground that act as checkpoints, I didn't realize you could enter those.
Oh, you go into the checkpoints.
Yeah.
What does that do?
They're essentially a hole in the ground, and that lets you go do inventory management. And there's a machine where you get those bone stones you find.
Right.
You go in there and you turn those into actual bones to give you the experience, is I think what bones are in this. So I think I had all 4 things leveled up once and 1 thing leveled up a second time before I was done.
Okay, I didn't know you could do that. I probably blew through a tutorial window, knowing me, but that's interesting. Okay.
No, what happened was there was a point where there was like nowhere to go, and so you got sent into a hole. And then I was like, oh, we can enter these things. So I went back to the checkpoints to check them out, and you can enter those too. That's how I figured out the bone stone thing and all that. So
okay, that's pretty rad.
I liked it. I can't speak to the music because I played it with the sound down. This one I played on the Steam Deck in the living room while the wife was watching TV. So I don't know about the soundtrack, but the graphics, I didn't mind. It's funny that you're like, with this graphic style and the color palette and all that, it's hard to see things. And I was like, I can see everything just fine. I always complain about Hollow Knight and its color palette. Because that, I can't see shit. I don't know what's going on. This, I was able to see everything just fine. I always put that on me, not them, not the developer. Because other people seem to love that, but
right.
That's
also, for me, it's like the game I play. There's another company that makes a lot of Game Boy palette games. I think it's Color Grave. I think the name of the studio is, and they did Curse Crackers, which is a game I talked about a few times on Press B. And I love Curse Crackers. It's a 2D platformer in the Game Boy Color palette, but the colors are a little bit more pastel, and they and maybe leaning a little bit more toward Game Boy, not necessarily all of the Game Boy colors available. So it's a little bit, I don't know, it's easier on the eyes, I find, and easier to see what's going on. So that's where I'm comparing it to. But I think playing Mina on the Steam Deck is probably the best way, I think, to play this game, because it's got the notes of nostalgia for the handheld systems, and trying to play it on a big monitor is probably what my problem is. I think if I play this on a smaller screen like the Steam Deck, I bet I would love this a lot more. I think I would probably dig the style more. I'm definitely interested.
Might have been too chunky.
Yeah, too much pixels, too chunky of the pixels. But it's a style choice, and they go full in on it, much like Shovel Knight, right? They pick the style and they run with it, and they do good work with it. And it's Yacht Club games. I really do like Yacht Club's stuff. I like the games they published. I like Shovel Knight a whole bunch. And I've been waiting for this one for a while. Like this one, when people compare, games that were Kickstarter and that disappeared, it's like this and Silksong. I mean, I'm interested in Silksong, but Mina was the one I was really looking forward to because of it being Yacht Club games. So I'm going to probably check this one out regardless of the demo. But I hope that the difficulty is not so difficult in the beginning or punishing in the beginning. But again, I'm not very good at these games. I've never been good at these games. But I was always good at Link's Awakening. But this definitely feels harder than Link's Awakening. But yeah,
Gotcha.
That's Mina the Hollower. I think Mina the Hollower is definitely one to pick up. I'm really glad it's coming out now because I was starting to get worried because they weren't saying anything in terms of updates, at least not publicly anyway.
That was kind of Silksong too, right? And now all of the systems that are threatening to come out or have come out are like, you'll be able to play the Silksong on this.
And Team Cherry still has not said themselves really anything about the game coming out. Like the most gameplay we got recently was when Xbox was talking about the new ROG Ally and they were highlighting Silksong on the screen in the background as an afterthought. Not even a proper Silksong announcement.
And they said Silksong like day one or something on it. And then Team Cherry's like, we haven't given a date.
Well, so they said that we're not tied to hardware releasing. But they have said it's coming out this year. Like Team Cherry has said this year. They haven't said when, but they've said this year. So it's definitely going to be playable on handhelds like the ROG Ally and all that. So anyway. All right. So Mina the Hollower. Sinistar, do you want to do yours next?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the one you right?
Yeah. So this one's called Antivirus Protocol. And it is essentially, it's another one of the Vampire Survivors, Time Wasters, Bone Minions. It's another one of those. The thing that kind of sets it apart is the entire time you are playing, whether you're getting hit or not, you are losing life. Like, I guess there's this corruption or something. And so basically it's kind of this repeating cycle of last as long as you can, earn these little pellets that give you upgrades, do your upgrades, and see how much longer you can last in the next one. And there's different levels, there's different bosses in each level, etc. It's it's another Time Wasters. It really is. I played this game, just the demo, for probably an hour. I just sat there and just played it for an hour.
Okay.
And it's fantastic. It's so unlike Vampire Survivors and Time Wasters, where like you unlock, but then you earn your upgrades while you're playing. This, you earn your upgrades between each time you play. And so the next time you play, you may have more life if you've chosen that upgrade. The corruption may impact you at a slower rate. You may have faster turning weapons. You may have more powerful weapons, et cetera, et cetera. But it's basically kind of this concept of, okay, I made it that far. I'm going to change these upgrades and see how much longer I can last this next time. So now it is interesting as well. There's a mechanism. It's not, you don't have to go to the upgrade screen every time that your device dies, whatever it is. I don't know what you'd call it. I guess you're the antivirus. But you don't have to go to that upgrade screen. You can literally say like respawn, and all of the upgrade quantity items that you've picked up carry over. So you can just keep cycling again and again and again, and then go back and upgrade if you want. So it's kind of up to you on how you want to play it that way. I did a mixture of it. Depending on, there's one of the upgrades is you do a greater percentage damage to the boss creatures. And when I was trying to get those are high quantity count upgrades. I'd cycle a few 3-4 times and then go buy that upgrade. If I wasn't trying to do that, I was kind of doing the upgrades almost between every single run.
Is it
But just
auto
like
attack like Vampire Survivors,
yes,
or is it?
yep,
Okay,
absolutely,
so it is
absolutely,
the same. Okay,
yeah. So, although it's very interesting because unlike Vampire Survivors in particular, where your weapon just kind of always has a place to go, like swing in front of you or the whatever.
right.
This has turrets that do try to get the nearest enemy at all times, but sometimes they're really slow to turn, or sometimes you end up kind of between enemies, and so it'll like just shoot between the enemies because it doesn't really know which one to aim for.
Okay.
Stuff like that. But I mean, it's just another one of those time wasters. And I was like, this is fun as hell. Why is it fun as hell? I don't know. It's wasting my time and I'm loving it, you know?
But sometimes that's what you want, right?
For those who are unaware, we need to specify Time Wasters is a name of a game that plays like this.
Yes.
Not
yes.
just a time waster, literally.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
to a degree, yes, but
yeah. Yeah, it's Vampire Survivors in space.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time wasters. And this is Vampire Survivors in corruption with viruses. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like the look of it.
Yeah,
the
and
graphics
they're
look
very
really
limited.
interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
they're very limited.
Yeah.
It's very pixelated, but I definitely was kind of a little worried. I was like, oh, are these always going to look like this? No, every time you progress to the kind of the newer level, there will be newer, different looking ones.
Okay. Well, that's
So,
good. And that's the thing with Vampire Survivors was the variety. There was quite a variety of stages and monsters. I mean, I lost track of how many characters there are in the game. So, if it has any of a hint of that, would be awesome. Like the variety, I think, is what makes these fun. But sometimes you just want a chill game where you don't have to think so much. You're just walking around and just letting things get killed, and the numbers go up. I mean, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite games, the numbers go up and it's fun, and that's fine.
And Sinsters points out, sorry, Sinsters points out Time Wasters, I think is $5, and I think that's right. And if it's well worth it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but if it's that kind of price range, that's the perfect amount of money for a game like this, right? $5, and you're gonna get a few hours out of it. Yeah. I don't mind when there's, like what Vampire Survivors did with expansions. I don't mind throwing the money every 6 months when there's another 100 hours of gameplay, because these things are really addictive for me.
Yeah.
But this one is great. I dig the style. I like the coding style, the viruses, the ships. I'm trying to think of what it reminds me of, but I dig it. I like the CRT filter, the fake CRT lines on top.
Yeah.
It looks neat. Is it honestly, music any good?
It's just kind of that really chill kind of ambient music in the background kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's good. And it in fact says who created it on the homepage, on the first menu. But it's really kind of that ambient, chill background music. I don't know, probably, I mean, I think Tunic had some of that as well. So it's kind of that style. Yeah. Yeah, it's it looks looks like it's going to be a great game. I had a good time with the demo. I didn't ever get kicked out of the demo. It just kind of rolled for however long I wanted to play it. So
do you know when it comes out? Did it say?
I didn't look, and I'm sorry I didn't look at that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's what was it again? It was
Antivirus Protocol.
Antivirus Protocol.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one. All right. Wolf, how about we do one more of yours?
All right. Well, I kind of want to talk about both of them in the same breath a little bit because they're very similar. So,
are they?
Yeah. I mean, one would think they're both roguelites.
Oh, okay.
Dungeon crawling roguelites. So,
right. Undermine 2 is
specifically Undermine 2 and Moonlighter 2. So they're also both sequels to previous ones, right? So when I first saw the trailer for Undermine 2, I was pretty excited. But when I finally played the demo, I gotta say I was a little disappointed in it. It's lacking something that the first game had. I don't know if they just focused too much on the graphics to make them prettier, and it loses the charm and a little bit of the ease of the gameplay, or what. Um,
So
particularly
what kind of game is Undermine? Because I think I saw Undermine, but I didn't really dive into it. What kind of game is it exactly?
It's very Binding of Isaac, but rather melee focused with
Okay.
a
It's
bit of ranged attack.
it's one of my absolute favorite roguelikes.
Really? Okay.
I absolutely love Undermine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
too. I love the first game.
Yeah.
Playing the demo for 2 just made me want to play the first one because I like the first one, and the demo for the second one I didn't super enjoy. It is prettier.
Huh.
The main character sprites look about the same as they did in the first game. I saw a lot of the same power-ups from the first game, and it seems like the systems were changed just a bit to feel unfamiliar
Hmm.
instead of improved.
Huh.
And so to me, I understand what they were going for. They tried to give more room variation, better lighting effects, things like that. But the room variation, instead of feeling interesting, it felt limiting.
Hmm.
Because not all the rooms are just like a box, right? Big box or
Right.
little box.
Right.
Instead, they have different funky shapes to them and span across multiple screens and all that. So
Okay.
I get what they were going for. It didn't click with me. Now, I was really concerned about Moonlighter 2 because I loved the first Moonlighter. It's, again, dungeon crawling roguelite, but it's also a shop simulator. Like, I love both of those. I bought that game before it came out on GOG. I pre-ordered it. I was like, boom, day one, I want this. So Moonlighter 2, I was worried because they're making the transition to 3D.
Which is dicey.
And yeah.
Yeah.
But fortunately, the art style works in its favor because the first game used a pixel art style that didn't have a lot of outlines to the characters. So the new art style in 3D seems very similar to the original. The gameplay feels different despite it not being all that different in terms of just the combat and everything. There's definitely a lot more going on under the hood mechanically. There's different types of progression and different types of perks and things like that that you can get that make you more powerful. So in the first game, you can upgrade your shop or you can upgrade your weapons and armor. That's kind of it.
Huh.
In this one, yeah, you can upgrade your shop, you can upgrade your weapons and armor. You in the first game you can buy stronger potions. In this one, instead of buying stronger potions, you come prepared with a few potions or like one potion. And then you have a skill tree that lets you upgrade your potions, how much they do, how much health you have, things like that. So you actually have skill trees there. You also have a roguelite element applied to the store simulator. So instead of people being just uninterested because you're charging too much or too little, items have a set price. And then you can haggle more out of your customers based on these roguelite bonuses you get as you sell that particular day's run. You get better at haggling with people. So you run back to the counter and get your new perk. The next time you sell something, one of your power ups for selling will be worth more. Or the next few, you might get the power ups you used back or whatever. And so they've applied roguelite to so many aspects of it now. So it is less about inventory management. Some of the original Moonlighter inventory management is still there, but your backpack is literally 10 slots instead of 30 at the beginning of the
Okay.
game. So it's minimal inventory management, and you're not collecting items from every enemy. You have to clear the room, and then you get the goodie. And the goodie
Okay.
might be a chest full of goodies, or it might be a new perk for that run or whatever. And there's still the management and doing things to this weapon or this item affects these items and so forth. So it's cool the way they did it. It was very surprisingly good and improved from the first game.
Nice.
So I'm all in on Moonlighter 2. I'm very disappointed with Moonlighter 1 or not Moonlighter 1, Undermine 2.
That's
because Undermine
unfortunate.
2 just made me want to play the first one.
Yeah.
Or Binding of Isaac on my Steam Deck. Like, that's what I ended up playing instead. Because I was like,
See, I have never been able to really truly get into Binding of Isaac. I own it. I've played, I don't know, I have a handful of hours in it, but Undermine, the original Undermine, I don't know why that is, but that is a roguelike that just hits me in the right places.
Right.
And
I agree with that, but my Undermine is on Switch. So I'm like, I want to play a roguelike that's good on the Steam Deck. So Isaac is what I have.
Yeah. Yeah, for me and Isaac, there was a span where I gave it a good 20 hours, and gameplay wise, I dug it, but the art style was really hard for me to get by. I just know that's just McMillan's art style, and I like Meat Boy's same thing, but something about digging through piles of shit for whatever, it was just got really on my nerves after a while.
Crying and poop. You're like, I have kids. You're like, I have kids. I've had enough crying and poop.
I got my own problems. I don't need shit and that on the spit on the screen. So I'm always looking for games like that, but are less gross. So which is what it is. I don't know. I saw Undermine on Steam a few times. I've almost picked it up, I think, half a dozen times, because I know I like the genre, but I thought maybe there's a lack of like dungeon variety or something, I think is what I was mostly coming back to. I'm very picky on my procedural generation. I guess I'm a snob for that.
It is.
It's samey,
it's very similar to Binding of Isaac in a lot of ways, just not bullet hell, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what Binding of Isaac is. It's bullet hell Zelda dungeon crawler.
Right.
The Undermine is very much Zelda dungeon crawler without the bullet hell aspects.
Right.
Yeah. Honestly, if you're gonna look at a new roguelike, I mean, I love Undermine, and I'm not gonna tell you to don't. I mean, I'm never gonna say don't get it, but the new TMNT roguelike is fantastic.
Right.
Yeah. So as is, I think Ember Knights. I think I've been playing Ember Knights as well. That one's fun as hell too. So
Ember Knights. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna check the demo out and give it a shot, because like I didn't want to put money down on Undermine, but I wouldn't mind checking out the demo for the second one and see if it clicks with me or not.
Sister says try Cult of the Lamb. There's still poop, but it's different.
Yeah, but it's different kind of poop. I've actually been playing with my young, not my youngest anymore, my middle child. She's the gamer in the house, and her and I've been playing the co-op that they added recently, and that's a good time. Cult of the Lamb is a lot more fun than I expected. I didn't realize how deep the dungeon stuff went, so I'm pretty happy with that one. It's another one. And then Moonlighter was the other one I almost picked up too. I never gave Moonlighter a shot. I feel like I should have. The style looks good in the sequel Moonlighter. Though. I actually dig the 3D work they did here. It's the 3D, but doesn't feel like 3D. Like they did a good job of making it look like a cartoon.
It looks like Bastion. I was trying to think of the game.
It looks
like Bastion.
It looks like Bastion, but 3D instead of
sprites.
What is it? A watercolor sprites is what they use, kind of like a watercolor
kind of that style.
Yeah,
but
cool.
It's both come out this summer. Though I think Moonlighter 2 will be in a finished state, and Undermine 2 is going early access in like 5 weeks.
Right. Yeah, I'm getting kind of burnt out on the early access stuff. I have Hades 2. Vaughn picked it up for me a few months ago, and I played a little bit of it. I dig it, but it's in early access, and I know it's like with Dead Cells, right? I don't want to burn myself out on it in early access. I'm gonna wait till it's done, and we'll have to see. I'm getting sick of the early access games. I'd rather play it when it's done.
It's also with a roguelike, there's so much potential for it to be such a different game by release versus what you get in early access.
Yeah,
because I did that too. I bought Dead Cells in early access. And I liked it a little bit, but some of the mechanics felt a little punishing, and just I fell off. When I finally went back well after it released, I absolutely adore the game. It's so different from what it was in early access.
Yeah. Like
I didn't need to buy it back then. I could have bought it on sale way later and enjoyed it for much cheaper.
When I added all the cameo characters and all the new weapons and the new biomes, like that game is so much, it's almost like a sequel if you play Dead Cells today versus 2 years ago. It's like the studio is now doing, is it the Rogue Prince of Persia? They got hired to do that license, and it looks rad, but it's been in early access, and I refuse to look or play it. I'm waiting till it's done, which I think it's 1.0 soon. And I know I'm gonna love it because it's not Dead Cells, it's Prince of Persia, but it's that fast paced combat like Dead Cells, I think. So I'm looking forward to that one. But again, in early access, I'm trying to skip early access. I want to wait till it's done, or wait till it's on sale. Like you're right, I don't need to pay full price for some of these. I've got stuff to install and reinstall. I don't need to play these brand new games all the time. But we'll see. All right, Sinister, you didn't have any other ones, right?
No, I'm. That's what I played.
Okay, I'll do the last one then. So the last one is actually I dug it, but it's mostly a charred pick. We'll leave it at that. How's it a charred pick? Well, because it's a horror game, and it's a horror game, and I know when it comes out in September, people are gonna say, "Oh, it's a Dark Souls game," which is definitely a charred genre, but it is definitely not a Souls game, and that's the thing I think is gonna hurt it. Too many people throw around the label of Dark Souls, Dark Souls, Dark Souls, and it's not. It's Hell Is Us. I should say what the game is, huh? And it's a sci-fi game. It's a sci-fi game, sci-fi horror. You're on basically on a backwards farming planet, maybe, or a colony planet, where the level of technology is very, very low. The game intro, you're talking to an alien detective or cop or something. But the planet itself is like a backwards. Your father that you talk about briefly is like a blacksmith. So I dig that it's sci-fi. It's in the future, but you still have sci-fi UN going to these backwater planets, which are definitely lower in the technology scale. But it's all about atmosphere. This game is built on the atmospheric parts of it, where they come out and tell you there is no UI, there is no map. The game does not hold your hand on what to do. And on paper, that sounds interesting. The idea of playing an openish game, an exploration game, where you're fully immersed into the world and they don't tell you what to do or where to go. It sounds good on paper, but I find in practice, there should be a map. I don't like that there's no map. Like when I thought of this, the first thing that came to mind was trying to play Valheim, which is a survival crafting game. There's an option to play that game with no map. And how awful it is to try and play a game like that, because how lost you get so very quickly. And I got lost in Hell Is Us in the demo. And this is not an open world game as far as I can tell. It's well, look, I don't know how the final game will be, but in the demo sequence I played, it was fairly linear, although you could go off the beaten track. But there's no map, so you get lost so damn easily. Like you're basically a UN cop. You're on the planet. It's a planet you're born on. You escaped it, and then you're going back to try and find your parents. And when you crash land on this planet, and you run into the shack, and you talk to an old guy. There's a whole conversation system. Kind of reminds me of Deus Ex: Human Revolution. I'll get to that in a second. In terms of how it's almost a mini game in talking to NPCs. And he explains that the APC is up the path. My sons and I hung wind chimes in the trees to guide you there. And that's kind of what they do to hold your hand, is they give you visual clues. So no map, but you have visual clues to find your way. I did realize after a good 20 minutes, they also give you a compass, which certainly helps. Because the guy's like, oh, just go north of the woods and follow the wind chimes. I'm like, north? What, it's an alien planet. What star am I looking at? Like, how do I know which way is north? But you do have a compass. But I found when I got to the camp that I needed to, I couldn't get back without getting lost. And I got lost for a good 15 minutes before I made it back to the NPC to kind of proceed with the story. And that kind of felt annoying. But once I got my bearings and I got into the first, lack of a better word, tomb, it felt a lot better. It felt, I'm not going to say Souls-like, but it felt more structured. But it's very dark, very gritty, a lot of horror elements. The enemies in this feel like almost like the little white forest sprites in Princess Mononoke crossed with Castlevania or something, or maybe Control, and that they're much taller, very creepy. The one that you see in the opening it's all white. His face is a black circle of void.
Yeah.
His chest cavity is a black circle of void, but there's red crystals that come out, and the red crystal kind of morphs into various polygons to attack you. Very unique and distinctive enemies, which I appreciate. But the The combat itself, it's not a Souls-like. You're going to think it is when you see gameplay of it, but it's more like bad God of War combat, I guess. And I mean, not saying it's awful. Like there's definitely multiple weapons. In the demo bit I played, I had a pair of dual axes. There's a sword, and all that kind of stuff. There is a drone that flies around with you. And like the combat's very actiony, right? Like very button mashy, very hack and slash. It's hack and slash combat, and there's a fair bit going on. You're by yourself. You have this drone. You can, if you're faced with more than one enemy, it tells you, oh, you can use your drone. There's a cooldown ability it has to distract one of the mobs. So you have the one mob be distracted by your drone while you go and attack the other one, and then you can go after the first target. There's charge attacks, there's dodging, there's parrying. If you perfect parry, you can heal afterwards. So like there is depth to the combat, and there's a lot of unique elements to it, but it's very fast paced, very floaty, very actiony. Definitely not a Dark Souls game, but it's going to get compared to death like that. I think that'll be its detriment. But
well, I really
hope, yeah, atmospheric. Sorry,
I really hope that it doesn't get compared and poorly compared to that too much, because that's another one of mine on Fantasy Critic.
I don't know. So the thing with this game is it's made by a company called Rogue Factor, and it's funny.
Didn't they do Prey or something? No, I'm thinking of Rogue Protocol. Never mind.
No, they did Mordheim City of the Damned, which I'm not familiar with. But
that's an alright game.
Is it? Okay. So the studio is founded by Jonathan Jacques Bellantide. I said that so wrong. But he was the art director on Deus Ex Human Revolution and Deus Ex Mankind Divided. And that just clicked for me, because when I was talking to the NPC in the shack, that whole idea of the social puzzle that they had in Deus Ex Human Revolution, that's what this felt like, talking to this NPC. And it makes sense now that there's some bones there with the art director from the other game. So that's kind of neat. But it's actiony. It's actually hack and slash game. I don't know how long it is. I'm curious to see how much variety there is in environments. I'm really curious if it's open world, because yeah, well, like the idea of no map, it's a choice.
The Steam page describes it as semi-open world.
Okay. So
I'm not sure what that means.
Take that as you will, but
yeah. That's probably what Dragon Age Veilguard is, right? Dragon Age Veilguard is not open world; it's semi-guided, right? Like it's linear, but you can go off the beaten path for secrets and hidden stuff, and that's what this feels like. There is definitely side paths to definitely get lost, and I know I did, but I feel better then, because I would get totally lost if this was an open map. Like it would not work at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like Dad of War had parts of the game that were like that, where it was, open world-ish, but very limited in how open. But definitely not quite as linear as, the old God of War games by any means. So maybe it's something along those lines, maybe a little bit more open than that, if they're touting that as one of the aspects.
Yeah. And like there's something to be said about a game that says, we want our art to lead the experience, right? Like a lot of game UIs get too cluttered, right? And you get too busy and too much happening on the screen. And sometimes I don't want all that nonsense. But when I was going through the forest part of the demo and then the tomb, I kind of wish there was a little bit of guidance. There is puzzles, actually. To give it a good example, there's 2 puzzles. In order to enter the tomb, you have to climb up this section, and there's 3 pillars that you can rotate 3 different faces. I don't know if I just missed a note or a conversation prompt somewhere, but there's nothing that tells you or gives you a hint about what the combination to those pillars should be. So I'm sitting there brute forcing it, guessing the combination of pillars. Not the greatest experience, but fine, whatever. It is what it is. There's only 3 pillars, 3 sides each. I got it within 5 minutes. Go into the tomb. Halfway through the tomb, there's another door with circular rings, and there's 4 rings with 4 or 5 options. And again, maybe I missed it, but there was no hints on what combination of symbols I had to do in order to open this door. So again, I sat there for 10 minutes brute forcing it. That was kind of annoying. So I must be missing something. Maybe the drone can translate runes or something, or maybe there's somebody I missed to talk to, but I don't think I missed too much, because again, it's not very open, but that part was a bit interesting. I don't know. But like it definitely immersive. Like the sound was creepy and atmospheric. The audio design is really good. Like this is one where I could see it getting nods for audio design, like Silent Hill 2 type of thing. And then the monster design was very, very, very cool. But yeah, that combat, I don't know. I don't know if I like the combat enough to play through it. But it's a demo, and you never know.
Gotcha. Well, I hope it does well.
Yeah. It's definitely a charred game. It's pretty much, that's up his alley for sure. So,
is this one you played on your PC or the deck?
Actually, I played all these demos on my PC. I didn't play any of them on the deck.
Gotcha.
The last Steam Next Fest, when I tried demos, it was so hit or miss whether they work on the deck or not. So I just kind of stuck with my computer.
Gotcha.
Okay. But I was just curious.
I only tried AbstractPunk. That was the only one I tried on the deck. The other two I tried on the PC.
Yeah. Like I know some of these will definitely work on the deck. Like a lot of indie games that's the good thing about the Steam Deck is a lot of indie games just work on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
With no issue, or they're not really highly demanding. Hell is Us though is a bigger studio game, and there's definitely a nice bit of graphic kit behind it. It looks really nice. I bumped it up to Ultra, and it pays off. I don't know if this would run the deck or not, but like Mina certainly would be awesome on the Steam Deck, and I can't imagine that not being a thing for it. It's like Silk Song, right?
Yeah,
Silk Song's amazing on handheld. I'm looking forward to playing that on the Steam Deck.
Antivirus Protocol would be great. I played that one on the PC, and to be fair, the Antivirus Protocol, the mouse control is fantastic.
Oh, that's good.
It's one of those where like you can actually see your pointer, and it basically like you can move your pointer, and your thing will try to go toward your pointer. So it's very much put your mouse where you want it, and it tries to get there. But I bet the controller on the Steam Deck would be fantastic for it.
Yeah. That's the one thing with the Steam Deck versus the ROG Ally is I think people dismiss the trackpads in the Steam Deck. They really shouldn't. Those trackpads are really super well designed for what they are. And like most games, I'm taking advantage of it, even if it's just using it as an extra button or like a menu, pop-up menu, because it does that in the Steam Deck input thing, or just like it's great for a mouse movement. People sleep on that for sure.
Yep.
All right. Well, again, Steam Next Fest, it's all of this past week. Today, we're recording this on Friday. All these demos are available all through the weekend. If you're listening to the audio on Monday, keep these games on your wish list. Give them, not all of them. Most of them, ones we talked about today, feel free to check out. And again, a lot of the demos I do find go past Next Fest until the release. So, but if you're interested in any of these, give them a wish list.
Next Fest used to just wipe them all afterward, but I've found that they stay up a lot now. So
yeah, like I think the biggest thing for a lot of indie developers is it's just they really want to get the wish list, because if they have a number of wish lists on Steam, it leads to getting better financial arrangements with publishers or Game Pass if they go the route, or publishers, because sadly that's kind of where the market's gone. Like for the longest while, Metacritic was live or die for a lot of AAA studios in terms of bonuses. Nowadays, for indies, it feels like if you don't get enough wish lists, then publishers don't want to deal with you, which is unfortunate. So it's one of the free ways you can support an indie developer you like is go wish list their game. So if you're interested in that way, plus it's so hard to keep tabs on a lot of these games that come out. There's so many of these coming out. Like it feels like there's yet another roguelike deck builder coming out every other week, and I feel like I don't want to miss any of these. The one I know I'm looking forward to is that Mirachi game, which I feel like should have come out by now. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think Wolf, I showed you before the trailer for it.
And if you're looking for NSFW games, there are tons during Next Fest. It's a glut of riches.
Yeah, I turned off the adult filtering, and I probably should just turn it back on because my kids go through my Steam library, and that's the problem. Right. Like, was it Hex Switch, I think, is the one? It's actually looks really legit as a fun platforming game, but it's totally not for kids. It's that's a horny game. Anyway. Games. Video games. All right. We are Press B to Cancel. Again, you can watch us live every Friday over on YouTube at youtube.com/@PressB2Cancel. Or you can listen to the audio episodes every Monday. They're all up on our website, pressb2cancel.com, or any of your favorite podcasting apps from I don't know, whatever the hell app you have in your smart fridge these days, or, you know, Amazon Music, iTunes, all that good
Pregnancy
stuff.
tests.
Pregnancy tests. You know, we're right there with Doom. We're also part of the Superpod Network. You can find superpodnetwork.com, a bunch of great video game adjacent podcasts, some of them more retro than us these days. Was the one I was, Remember 64. Dave's been on a show a couple times. He did an episode on Quest 64. That game is got an online support group of fans lately. So that's a game I feel like I should check out, or not. I don't know. But that was a fun episode to listen to. Don't do it.
I checked it out.
I've played it. Don't do it.
Yeah. I checked it out for one of our episodes, and I was like, how soon can I be done with this?
I rented it back when N64 was still in Blockbuster. Don't do it.
It's the only RPG they got, man.
Go on the Wheel of Pain.
The Wheel of Pain, that bad. 2 hours of Quest 64. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
The episode was fun to listen to either way, so go listen to his podcast. And there's lots of great episodes on the Superpod Network. Of course, you can also find all of ours. We recently did one on the Game of the Year in 1994. 94, thank you. Which was, wow, it's so memorable, I forgot. Go listen to that episode. It seems to be doing good. But if you want to support Press B to Cancel, please do like this video or subscribe to us on YouTube. It's free. Or if you're listening, please drop a review on wherever your podcast app is. It does help people find our show. We've definitely been trending upwards the last little while, and I appreciate all the support you guys have again. Really want to keep getting up there. I really would love to get us to 500 subs on YouTube. That would be a huge milestone. So anyway, thank you all for your listening. And we are Press B to Cancel. See you all next week.
Happiness. Happiness.
Happiness.
Where's that stop button?